Thank you, Dean Van Denebio. Students, faculty, parents, family, friends, I am grateful and humbled for this honor all of you and UCI have given me. Graduates, welcome to the next chapter of the rest of your life. It's especially surreal to be here today because I almost skipped my own commencement. You see, as the big day approached, I was overcome with a lot of anxiety. I kept thinking, here I am, finished with school, having achieved one of the greatest accomplishments in my life, and all I could think about was finding a job, joining the rat race, and pretty much working for the rest of my life. I was ready to be done. I had spent the past 5 years setting my alarm for 7, only to hit snooze too many times and miss my 8 a.m. classes, hanging out at Ant Hill Pub instead of studying for finals, and meeting new people all over Mesa Court and later Campus Village. Notably, guys, that part, by the way, was totally worth it because one of them is now my husband. I should have been so proud of myself, yet I was a 23-year-old bona fide pessimist. But I went to my commencement mostly at the urging of my parents. Now, looking back on this day 12 years ago, I'm so glad I did. First, this day wasn't all about me. Yes, it was my day to celebrate, to relish my accomplishments, but let's be honest, the day was really about my parents. They raised me, supported me, and put up with me as a young child and a teenager. So to all of you parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles out there, or to anyone who played a big role in supporting one of these graduates here today, today is your day. Your graduate embodies your hard work and support, and you should all be so proud. Graduates, thank them for what they did to get you here today. And then thank them again when you ask them for help paying back your student loans. I was privileged to have attended UCI and to have had a path to higher education already paved for me by my parents. And this year, 50% of UCI's graduating class is first generation. So, to all of you first-gen students sitting here today, you have my utmost respect for overcoming all of the hurdles that you faced to reach this point in your life. But the main reason I attended my commencement was to celebrate finding my passion and voice. It's made all the difference in my life to this point, and that's why I want to talk to you today about 3 ideas: being nimble, willing to change, and having courage to use your voice. I'm an editor at the New York Times, where I co-lead a team of journalists who distribute our news on social networks like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Yes, the ones approximately 80% of you are on right now at the moment. But yeah, there you go. Don't forget #UCIgrad. We use these platforms to amplify the voices of our journalists and develop tactics to help grow our readership, which right now includes about 2 million paid digital subscribers. I also solicit stories from readers around the world about how public policies and social issues affect their everyday lives and incorporate that into our reporting. But the fact is, my job, my team, and all of what I just described didn't exist when I graduated just 12 years ago. I didn't know what any of this even meant when I got my start in the industry. Getting to this point in my career wasn't without its twists and turns. My passion for journalism started here at UCI, Murray Krieger Hall to be precise, while taking classes in the literary journalism major, which was started by the great Professor Barry Siegel. Yeah. It was through writing classes and mentorship from some of the top journalists in our industry that I started to find my voice and develop a love for storytelling. And as I got more and more into writing, I joined our school newspaper, the New University, and eventually became its editor. I interned at the Los Angeles Times and the Orange County Register, learning the ways and means of reporting, sourcing, and fact-checking. And with all this experience under my belt, I knew by the time that I graduated that I wanted to set off on a path to becoming a print journalist. That alone was my dream, my goal, and my end game, or so I thought. My first job after UCI was as a newspaper reporter for the San Luis Obispo Tribune on the central coast of California. It was a classic small-town beat reporting gig. I met sources in coffee shops, covered boring land use ordinance meetings, and got my fair share of nasty emails from readers, which for a reporter can be a sign that you're doing your job well. And I absolutely loved it. But just as I was settling into newspaper reporting, this dream job I had my mind set on for when I left college, the recession hit, and my world was turned upside down. There were layoffs throughout the industry, publishers were scrambling because money was drying up, people were using Craigslist, not newspapers, to sell things, and readers were turning online instead of picking up a dead tree every morning from their driveway. And I never imagined that an industry that had been around unchanged for centuries could change that rapidly. I was just months into the only job I had prepared myself for and was already at risk of losing it. I was 24 and had no idea what was next or whether there was even a place for me in an industry that I worked so hard to be part of. A million thoughts crossed my mind. Maybe I should have majored in computer science and become a computer programmer, or something that felt steady. Or maybe I should have just married a doctor. Sorry, sweetie. So when the editor of the Tribune went around the newsroom looking for volunteers to help the newsroom shift to digital, like posting articles on our website and using social media to collect and distribute news, I didn't hesitate for a minute before raising my hand. To tackle these changes in my industry, I had to be nimble. And I had no idea what I was doing. So I learned by talking to mentors, applying for digital journalism training programs, some of which I took days, weeks, or months of unpaid time off work to attend. I just simply figured it out on the job, much like you figured out how to properly separate laundry when you left home for freshman year. I was continually confronting the unknown. There was a cloud of uncertainty over my head for years, not knowing what was going to happen next, or what the next big shift would be. But the one thing that kept me going was my passion. I wanted to be part of the next generation of journalists who would help uphold the most critical institution for engaging and informing citizens. I just had to find a different way to do it. So I made myself stand out. I volunteered to do things that no one else wanted to do or knew how to do. I remember spending beautiful, sunny weekends on the coast, cooped up in my newsroom, teaching myself how to program in Flash so I could publish videos on my newspaper's website. So graduates, I say to you, be prepared and willing to change, and embrace new opportunities whenever you can. As the English philosopher Alan Watts said, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. I can't guarantee that you won't fail, or that you'll always find opportunities. You'll face plenty of hurdles along the way, but each one of those experiences will prepare you for your next challenge. And when life gets you down, consider spewing this alternative F word, fail, as in F-A-I-L, first attempt in learning. Use the rich experiences, knowledge, and practical skills you've developed here and apply them to opportunities that come your way, including the ones that the future has yet to create. Because here's the thing, 5 years from now, there's a chance that the job I have right now, my absolute dream job, might not exist. And I don't know what's scarier, the fear that my job might not exist and I'll be unemployed, or perhaps even scarier, my job might be done by a robot. But rather than fear that future, I'm choosing to embrace change. Change is an opportunity to keep learning and adapting. But the one thing you must hold on to is your passion. Let it guide you and let it motivate you. When I left UCI, I used my voice to tell stories for a small-town newspaper. Now I help tell them at the New York Times, an institution committed to deeply reported independent journalism, and one where I can use my voice and the voice of our readers to connect people to the most important issues facing our changing world. For example, the Me Too movement, which happened as a result of revelations of sexual harassment and abuse that had gone on unpunished in Hollywood, politics, the media, Silicon Valley, set off an outpouring of testimonials from women about abuse in the workplace and helped shape important conversations between the Times and its readers. We heard from women who experienced years of harassment while working on the floors of a Ford motor plant in the Midwest, or as restaurant servers who endured harassment from customers. And most recently, we heard from NFL cheerleaders about the strict rules they were required to follow on and off the field. Each of these stories helped forge a connection and dialogue that never existed before between the newspaper and its readers. My team and I were charged with gathering the stories that gave the weight of human experience to the Times' reporting. My late colleague David Carr distilled one of the missions of the New York Times down to a single line that has really resonated with me. He said, "Ultimately, who we work for are the people who tell us our stories." And from where I sit, that's never been more true than it is now. So the world is changing drastically and abruptly, but you're leaving here today with the keys to the kingdom. A built-in microphone, just like the kind our friends Siri, Alexa, and others thrive off of. You're leaving here with a proverbial bullhorn in your hands. Take the lessons you've learned throughout your time here and translate them into real-world impact. Of course, you may not know right now what your passion is, and that's okay. Unearthing your calling, singular or plural, can take time. Maintain equanimity. Be true. As the great poet Maya Angelou said, "Seek patience and passion in equal amounts. Patience alone will not build the temple, but passion alone will break the walls." Whatever it takes to help you find yours, do it. And if you don't trust me, trust the New York Times crossword puzzle. There's actually a clue in one of this week's puzzles that's just for you. If you go to my Twitter profile, @Sona, @SONA, go there and read it. So congratulations, class of 2018. Be proud of this incredible milestone you've achieved and get ready to conquer the world. I'm glad you decided to attend your graduation and revel in all your successes, and I am too. Now prepare to work every single day for the rest of your life. But remember, be nimble, be willing to change, and have courage to use your voice. I promise you that if you find that passion, that energy, that constant desire to reinvent yourself, it'll never feel like just work. So onward, good luck, and zot, zot, zot.